Hello and welcome back to Spirit Lounge and the continuation of the Samyutta Nikaya that we're going through today. I hope you guys are still enjoying it and doing very well. Let's just jump straight into the presentation. There's 9 slides in this one. This is the second of, I think, about 14, 15 that we have to go through for this particular Nikaya, so we'll jump straight in. Okay, so the Devata Samyutta. Okay, the Sutta Pitaka, again, as we mentioned, was all the Dhamma teachings of the Buddhists, dividing into Nikayas. This is the third of the 5. We've been through the Digha and the Majjhima already. This is the Samyutta Nikaya. The content, everything that is written in this Pali, the Buddhist Pali here, the canon itself, of the teachings of the Buddha, and various of his disciples as well, and offshoots. Again, the Samyutta is a collection which is called Nikaya, hence they're called Nikayas, the collection of teachings and related sermons, which are Samyutta and discourses. And you'll see as we go along, they contain into vaggas and various other subsections, and we'll be moving through them usually as vaggas, but secting them out as vaggas within this particular Samyutta. Okay, let's just move forward. So Sagatha Vagga and the Devata Samyutta in the Naha Vagga. These are all combined together. On how the Buddha crossed the flood, and this is the journey from the phenomenal world to Nibbana. Phenomenal world means the world, excuse me, from the world of the material, the phenomenal world being the matter material world, to Nibbana being enlightenment, being the release from rebirth. On the way to achieve enlightenment and release suffering, which is the short lifespan of humanity, the inevitability of the body's decay, merit making, which is good karma, and giving up worldly things. On what must be done to cross the flood. The flood, remember, is to cross the flood of ignorance and suffering and attachment to the material or the world of the phenomenal to attain enlightenment. To cut the 5 to cut, 5 to give up. These are fetters. 5 fetters to cut, 5 fetters to give up. 5 to develop, 5 fetters to develop. On the overcoming, we were going through, as I said, all of these again. On overcoming the clinging 5. The 5 low fetters are identity view, clinging to wrong view of the 5 aggregates, the bodily form, feelings, perceptions, formations, and material consciousness, external consciousness, mind. Doubt is another of the 5. Empty ritual, which is another of the 5. Or any practice other than the 8 noble paths. Lust, ill will, or anger. These are the 5 things of the low fetters we must remove. Empty ritual, what is this? This is a good one I like to come back to. Ritual, ceremony, all of these things, codices, symbology, occultic practices, the demigods that are created by humanity and form that now exist because they are given energy and form to manifest, the lower realms and so forth. These are the practices of those that are lost, that are moving towards the far left spectrum of godlessness. Empty ritual. There is no ritual to your passage towards grace. It's godlessness or grace. Remember, left and right. There is no ritual you need to have. There's no candles and worship and particular paradigms of each day that you need to have. You need to go into the self and allow God to show, the divine to show you the way forward. It's not going to require your performing rituals or ceremonies or occultic practices or sacrifices of any kind. This are all practices of the broad channel. You must avoid those. Okay, on the 5 to give up. So this is talking about the 5 fetters, right? The 5 to cut. The 5 fetters to cut, as we've mentioned, are the wrong view, doubt, empty ritual, lust, ill will, or anger. On the 5 fetters to give up, the 5 higher fetters, a desire for worldly rebirth. Give up the desire for the heavenly rebirth. The 5 higher fetters and the 5 fetters to give up. So we've got desire for the worldly rebirth. Now there's many of humanity desire rebirth, desire to conquer the material realm. That is moving towards the left. This domination, we must have power over everything within the material realm. That means even how the material realm functions, to become gods themselves of the entire world and how it functions, every human being on it. This is occurring today. This is the extreme loss of worldly rebirth. Those that are attached to worldly rebirth desire more material matter rebirth, desire bodies, desire sexual desire, desire power, force, accumulation, wealth, all these things, power over others, delusion, and their false gods, their demonic practices, the occultic practices, this Kabbalistic practices, or any other spiritual practice that requires constant attachment to rebirth. Rebirth is the attachment to the physical realm. They want to govern it and power over it. So therefore they want to return and keep power over it, have their souls recurring into matter, into the same almost bloodline practices, if that is what they think they're trying to do, and just continually have this lineage of power. Desire for a heavenly rebirth, this is what we must desire for. Pride, not a good practice. This heavenly rebirth is not given, it is cultivated through enlightenment. Pride, restlessness, or worry, and ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. On the 5, to develop our faith, effort, mindfulness, steadfastness, and meditation, and skills. This is spiritual skills, spiritual practices. This is the psychical that will emerge from the highly intuitive, the attuned intuition, the psychical that will emerge from your meditation and steadfastness and mindfulness and effort and faith in that which is yourself and that which is also greater than self. On the clinging 5, so these are attachment, ill will, confusion, pride, and wrong view. These are all self-explanatory, really, if we look at them. On the 5 that are asleep, the sleep are the senses, the 5 senses. These are ill will, laziness, worry, and doubt. And to awake is to have faith, effort, and be mindful, steadfastness, and meditative skills. On the 5 who sleep but are awake, so this is talking about different states of being. So the five that are asleep, these are different states of what we'd call enlightenment, or states of perception or awareness. So he's talking about those who are fast asleep. They're concentrating on the 5 senses and the ill will, lazy, worry, and doubt. Most of humanity are in this state. The awake, or those that are transitioning, I would say, are faith, effort, mindful, steadfastness, meditative skills. We are always awakening. We are not ever just awake. On the 5 who sleep but are awake, they have faith, they have effort, they have mindfulness, steadfastness, meditative skills. On knowledge and mindfulness as the way to gain and maintain a right view. So those who sleep but are awake, those who are at rest, I would say, at peace. On forgetfulness is a lack of mindfulness. That's preventing right view, i.e. understanding, which is wrong view. On moral imperfections and the forest life, a contemplated life of seclusion. We don't need to do this, as I say. This is written in the time where this was a regular occurrence. Remember, in the planetides, if you listen to those videos, they talk about 3 stages of life. One was growing up as a young person, learning, education, going to schooling. And the other one was having a family, raising children, having children, raising them. And the third was after one has achieved raising children and they've left the roost, if you like. It was actually to leave the family and go into secluded life in the forest and to seek spiritual enlightenment. These are the 3 passages, and this is reflected in the forest life here. Qualities necessary to cross the domains of death. That means that this is the flood, the passage over the flood. The domains of death are that of loss and delusion and suffering, as it says. on living the holy life, on living in the present without undue focus on the past or the future. We always worry about the past, and we do concern ourselves about the future. We can look into and see what the future may bring. The future will always only bring and will cascade forward the energy and frequency and the tendencies and perceptions you have today. So unless those are changing, your future will just give you the same, more of the same. To have a different future, we must change what is actually in the present. On 2 habits. Prevent fools from living useful lives. Too much planning for the future and too much lamenting over the past. This is a not being present in the now. Okay, the Nandana Vagga. On the impermanence of pleasure, extinguishing desire to seek pleasures. On the casual link between love and pleasure and love and suffering. So a lot of love within humanity, human love, is driven all around the physical attachment and then sexual desire. True love is beyond all of these things. True love is beyond suffering. It is just purity of love. It is that divine essence of love, the love that is truly cascading from the inner heart space. We confuse love within the human space, which is fleeting because we don't truly have a connection which is deep and spiritual with another. That is where love really, really resides. When you look upon someone and you love them unconditionally, unconditional love is really a connection from within, a spiritual one, a deep, meaningful one, where the souls are attaching, openness of speech, action, word, thought, and intention with each other, directing each other to where each of you are transcending and going towards, and make sure that passage is supported. On the ability to have love for each other, to also let go and have detachment from each other. This is an important thing. An attachment, your love should not be an attachment where you seek and need the other person. There should be an ability for you to walk away if the need requires you to do so, with love, with that deep affection of spiritual divine governance of love from the divine itself, is when you're able to love another, but you're also able to walk away, to detach from the other person as well. Okay, on the love of parents, love of self, power of wisdom, on the perils of a wasted youth, eliminating laziness, and aversion to study. Now we must study all things that in books, passages, scriptures, videos in this modern age, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it might be, from all manner of peoples as part of our study. Excuse me, I ate some peanuts earlier on, and now have a itchy throat. some peanuts coming up. On how an aversion to shame can speed to release from suffering, on the bondage to their cravings, the bondage to the material realm, partake in pleasures to tear rather than some future expectation of pleasures. Buddha's response is refrain from evil thoughts, evil speech, evil action, and give up chasing after of pleasures. Is a hopeless quest. These are right views and wrong views mixed combined together here. So sati vagga, on the human, on the harm fools to do. Self, by doing harm to others, untangle complications of human existence. So you can do harm to self and harm to others. Cultivating virtue, controlling thoughts, seeking wisdom, eliminating ill will, ignorance, greed, delusions of the phenomenal world, on restraining the mind to attain permanent release from suffering. The 5 lights are the sun, moon, fire by day, night and by night, on the supremacy of the light of the Buddha, i.e. the teachings, in other words, that is what is being referred to, the teachings. And on ending the cycle of birth and decay, attachment, on ending detachment, on ending the attachment to form, being composed of earth, water, fire, and air, the need to extinguish all evil, not just one or two, on the 4 postures: lying, sitting, standing, walking. The 9 gates these are the 9 gates. What are the 4 postures? This is how we walk, how we stand, how we sit, how we carry ourselves. The 9 gates is which enlightenment can come, which includes the senses and the organs in which the senses come in. So this is talking about the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, which is the breath, the mouth, which is speech, what do we speech, the fecal tract and the urinary tract. This is the same as what the Upanishads were talking about as well. They refer to all manner of organs and entrances and exits of the body. By controlling the 5 chords of sense, desire and mind are the 6 sense bases: touch, taste, sight, sound, smell and mind. Consciousness, which is in other words which is what they're referring to. Okay, the subtle la pakayika vagga. So I'll say that slowly every time. Teachers possessing right view, good view, and good karma, wisdom, freedom from grief, radiance, heavenly rebirth, liberation from suffering. So that's a good teacher. But again, as I said, the school and the church is within yourself. But you can seek teaching from others external to self, but do not stay with them. Remember, they are part of your passage, but they are not your passage. Do not give your life over to another person, ever. On the perils of being miserly and unmindful, the karmic relationship between them two, generosity in this life and good birth in the next life, merits of giving, even if only a little is given. Remember, we talked about giving and without judgment, no matter what it is. Buddha's teaching, even a little. On righteous and unrighteous offerings. Gift of a peaceful life. The relationship between worldly passion and suffering. Things that may inspire passion and passion itself. And this is not just desire-driven passion. This is passion within your spiritual purpose. Extinguishing passion, which is the desire-driven passion. Excuse me. On speaking and acting truthfully, knowledge of the world as it really is, i.e. understanding what this world is truly is. Allow yourself to see the world for its goodness, but also see it for its negativity. If you don't want to confront what the world truly is, then you're not going to be. True learning and enlightenment is to know all things. It's not just to bring things to self that please you. It's to bring all realities of that duality that we live in, from the left to the right. Remember, godlessness and grace, understanding all of that is part of enlightenment as well. On the 2 great whirlpools, the wrong views of the self as eternal and death as an extinction of the self, i.e. the soul, the spirit does move, is a trueness and leaves. To discern complicated points of wisdom, sharing wisdom without passion. Someone who shares wisdom without passion, which is belief and faith. On the fate of evildoers is a rebirth into hell or as animals. This does not happen. This is again something in the Upanishads. I've seen it in the Bhagavad Gita. It does not happen. You will not be reincarnated as an animal. Your soul, let me just give you the reason why. A soul uses a vessel that will support its passage forward. Your soul expression is in a human vessel, because that's the vessel it needs to move itself forward, because that vessel allows it much more expanded expression and perception within action, word, thoughts and intentions, within your 5 senses and of mind, within consciousness and spiritual expression consciousness. Therefore you are in a human body. There is no purpose in an incarnation into a vessel which does not support continued expansion. Moving into a vessel from human to an animal does not support that transcendence. There is always purpose in incarnation. There is purpose and intention in everything that exists. Nothing exists without purpose. There is intention and purpose and end an objective to it. There is no objective, no purpose or intention or need or anything to come out of transcendentally for a human soul to transcend and reincarnate into an animal. This is dogma from the ages gone. We have moved on from this. Do not believe this if you're told it. This has not happened. Rebirth into hell. What is hell? Well, that is just the nature state of your soul, the vibrationary frequency of your soul, and the soul groups in which you will transcend up and reincarnate with. Someone who is let me give you an example of this. There are many. Let me just give you an example of a paedophile or a rapist or a sadistic criminal. There are many of them. They've been and gone and hidden from us through the systems that are dark. Hide them, nurture them, protect them, because they are of that ilk. That soul expression that committed those will reincarnate and will have a tendency and a paradigm attached to their soul, continued tendencies of action, word and thought and attraction and attachment to and a desire to will be in their soul expression, their soul's vibration and frequency within this cosmic universe, their imprint, which is the garment. Your garment when you come into this world, into this realm, is your soul garment. It is the garment in which you wear. You're trying to put the garment of grace on. This is the bridal chamber you're trying to go towards. The chamber in which the garment you walk through, your karmic, your esoteric, the akashic garment, is your soul. This is what you will wear. That soul will reincarnate into this world. The spirit it's trying to go to will always be with it. Its challenge will be, is that vessel in the expression of a human with a body and a name and a face, will it perform the same actions, word, thoughts and intentions that its tendencies of the past have kept doing? And it'll keep recycling down over and over and over and over, and it'll come down and associate itself with, in life, those of the same soul vibration as itself. It'll bring, the life will purposefully bring that soul back into alignment with them. And its challenge will be, does it continue to perpetrate the same acts, the same tendencies and perceptions and direction it has in the past, or will it in one life choose a different path? Will it alert itself to itself and choose something else? If it does not, it will guide itself to the same group of soul's vibration, and hell is a repetition of this. Hell is your soul. The hell is coming back and doing the same things over and over again. And you realize that hell because when you're out of your body, you move into the divine realm and you look upon the self and you realize that you've lived. That is the hell. The realization of repeated paradigms, the realization of your godlessness in form. This is hell. You create hell experience here in the material realm. This is what your soul's passage is. Soul groups for me are the paradigms of tendencies that you are attached to because of the continued paradigms of repeated expression. Change what you are, elevate through enlightenment, and you will find that you will move towards much more graceful movement of experience, of surroundings, and of people that come into your space. You will always have that which you vibrate, but you will have nothing more. Okay, so where were we? So animals into poverty, life of a great struggle. Well, this is got, if you move into godlessness, that's what it brings. No amount of money will struggle here is not just always just about, it's not just having ease through wealth. Struggle is also having loss. Everyone's seeking something in this world, my friends. Everyone's seeking something in this world. Are they not always seeking purpose? But they all, for the most part, dismiss the nature of grace existence. But they're seeking purpose. You cannot seek purpose if you don't know where you're going. If you have nothing greater than the self, then where's your purpose? Being good and mindful and having all these trendy New Age philosophies does not going to help you. That you have to be real about what needs to be real. The real world is there, the real focus of our trajectory. It waits for us, but it has a brutal simplicity to it. This is where struggle always is. It will be in the material and also in the spiritual realm if we do not focus on what is real. We do not allow ourselves to accept that something in our minds we've dismissed, and through our technology and our ego self, putting ourselves as gods, have decided to replace. Fate of those free from evil is rebirth into good circumstance and a life without great struggle. There you go. Okay, so the Yaravagga establishment is the gem, which is robber proof. The gem, what is the gem? The gem is the spiritual movement. The gem is your soul's realignment and eventual integration with the breath of our source. Robber proof, it can never be taken from you. Nobody and nothing in the material and non-material realm can remove the spirit. It can affect and distract your soul if you allow it to, through the vessel, but it cannot be robbed. The divine is always within you and it waits for you. Understanding and the gem is the spirit moving in towards, or you moving towards rather, the spirit itself. On virtue, faith, wisdom and merit being good karma. On the question of what goads humanity and what is the race. On the nature of existence and humanity's greatest fear. Well, what is humanity's greatest fear in reality, in the spiritual sense, really? It's just coming back here, isn't it? It's rebirth, is it not? Are we not all trying to release ourselves from this incarnated life, the duality of this earth plane, the duality of the human? As you know, there are many of us around us, we've given our power away. This is why our world is how it is, because we've given our power away and we allow these things to occur. We allow horrificness to operate. We allow those that we know are dark, that lie and deceit and full of power and greed and lust and desire, the pedophiles and the Satanists of the world, to rule. We give them governance. That's our affair, and it's ours to resolve. On cravings and the uncontrolled mind, on suffering, on how a person's actions in the current life determine their existence in the next life. Well, it just determines how many lifetimes you will have, ultimately. On women, on asceticism and holy living, rules man, attachments and suffering. Adavaga, on what besmirches all things, that which is not obvious. Controlling elements of all things, on labelling things with names, questions of the prime mover of the world, worry, and the controlling element of all things, on human cravings, on pleasure as the world's greatest fetters being attachments, thoughts as the world, and the extinction of cravings, attain nibbana, which is enlightenment, the release from rebirth. Question of what is blinding in this world, on pleasure as the great fetter, relationship between fetter and mind, attachments and the attachment of mind, the ego of mind, the replacement of ourself. We are gods. We've dismissed the reality of the true nature of our all, our Father, our all, our source, our being. On cravings, decay, death and suffering. What causes the world to arise? Attachments that vex the world. On the six senses, touch, taste, sight, sound, smell, and consciousness or mind. There's a lot of repetition in all the vaggas. You'll find they repeat over and over very similar things. Why is this? Why do the Upanishads repeat things over and over again? Why is this? Why do the Nagamadi repeat things over and over again? And why will every other scripture we look at repeat the same message over and over again? Why is this? It's a simple fact that I've said over and over. The spiritual passage is simple and simple in its nature and brutal in its power. It's brutal because of its simplicity. Because it's simple and we have put complexity over spirituality. We've put complexity over transcendence. We've put complexity over enlightenment and knowing. We've put complexity of what the nature of our grace is. Humans have done this because the reality is because it's simple, and because it's simple, it's brutal. because it's brutal. It forces itself on you to realize that we create complexity because we don't want to confront the brutality of it. It's a choice between godlessness and grace, and your actions, words, thoughts and intentions are determining whether we're moving towards that passage. This is the brutality of it. It will make you confront yourself, the brutality of confrontation, of self, of the ego confrontation, the mind confrontation, the paradigms that we hold, the tendencies that we hold, confronting them. It's forcing you to confront what you've given whom you've given your power away to, the worship of other human beings, the worship of paradigms and systems in this world, the worship of, as it says here, by birth others that you feel are better than you. The lesser than feeling that you truly have within your heart space, the undeservedness that you must confront within yourself. All of this is what you must confront. This is the reason why many will not actually traverse the spiritual path, my friends, because it's a difficult journey, but it's one of ease and not exertion if you give yourself to it and humble yourself to allow yourself to confront yourself. The Chetva Vagga, the benefits that flow from extinguishing anger. Pleasing the Buddha, sound sleep. Pleasing the Buddha just means teaching, the teachings. Pleasing the Buddha, sound sleep, praise and freedom from misery. The greatest treasure is the happiness of purity, the greatest taste, which is going to be the taste of grace. On the treasure of faith, teaching and truth. Teaching is teaching yourself. Remember, the school and the church is within yourself. Allow yourself to allow knowing to come. You will never know everything. You're always under the attainment of knowledge. You are always awakening. You will never become awakened. Things which arise, which descend, the greatest of wonders. What frightens humanity is to face the cycle of death and rebirth, I would say. People fear death. Why do they fear death? Well, because they do not understand what comes from after death, what came before life, and what is persistent throughout life. It's the same thing, really. On ways to dispel fear of death. Do good, avoid evil, share with kindness. On the questions of death, decay, what always decreases. What blemishes holy life is what cleans without need of water. Decay of matter, the station of birth and social rank is irrelevant. Lust, provisions are for the journey, the abode of pleasure. Difficulty to renounce. On faith, beauty, desires, those who are distant from the world. So this is a mixed bag. In this Vagga is talking about that which will take you towards grace and that which will keep you within the broad path and the attachment to suffering, as Buddha always attached it to. Okay, I want to say thank you again for listening to this. I truly appreciate it. Remember the second coming is you, and it's transformative. You must, I'll put the webcam on here. You must know that the transformation is always going to be you. The second coming, the teachings are already here. We don't need another savior. The savior didn't come to save us. Christ, Krishna, Buddha, the Christ was crucified or put to death by human loss, but needed to happen, I suppose, for the teachings to be spread, which is what the word was supposed to be. The word was supposed to be castigated between us, not through any man-made church, and not through a book written by human beings, interpreted by them, and so that they could control a flock. We have all the teachings that we need. It is your choice whether you choose godlessness or grace, and to understand what the spiritual meaning is within them all. And you'll find when you study them that they consist of the same thing. It has to be transformative, not virtue signaling, self-righteous goodness and pleasing of just one's mind, and done just when one wants something. This is not going to work. It's a temporary nature. It'll have temporary satisfaction, if any at all. So remember, if this is what you desire, and while you're listening to this channel and many others and the books that you read, the journey is difficult, but it doesn't require exertion if you're truly on it. Humility of your ego is required if truth and knowledge is too much. So I want to say thank you all for listening to this. I want to say God bless to you and your time, and leave your comments, please, as you wish, and then I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much, and God bless.